And we're back for another episode of St James's Pod. This one's the Forest review, but we'll not only be reviewing that game, we'll also be bringing you the latest club news, talking international mags and warm weather training camps. But before all that, here's a quick word from this week's sponsor. This episode of St James's Pod is brought to you by Vixen Hair. The extension specialists have 2 locations here in Brisbane, as well as a mobile service. So if you're looking to achieve the hairdo of your dreams, look no further than vixenhair.com.au and tell them St James's Pod sent you. Enjoy the episode. Alright, let's talk club news first then, guys. What's been happening at Newcastle this week? Who wants to take us away?
Well, latest news from the Premier League about the fan engagement standards that they brought out, I think, which is a positive thing. I think it's there to protect against like rogue owners, like just going and doing things behind the fans' backs.
Fucking Mike Ashley.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was thinking Cardiff, when they changed the colour of the strips. They might change the colour of the strips to red.
I mean, yeah. Not that I think that our owners would be that daft to do anything like that.
No, wouldn't.
But it's still like a good thing, and it's now, they have to whenever they want to make a decision on club crest changes or club colour changes or name changes for that matter, then it has to go through like the official fan.
Will that include if they want to change St James's then? If we'll get a sponsor for the stadium or something?
I'd assume so. I haven't read all through the standards, but like I'd imagine big decisions like that would have to be put to the fan groups.
To be honest, I think they would anyway. Even if this legislation wasn't brought out, I think it's something that they would do.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at, like, say, the new camp, like, it's now called the Spotify new camp, so they haven't, like, totally wiped out the name, called it, like, Spotify Arena or something.
Yeah.
So they've obviously, like, weighed up, like, whether they want to completely wipe out the name and probably get more sponsorship money in, or have, a balance to get some more in from Spotify, but also keep the new camp name. So I'd imagine, like, that's what probably is going to happen to us at some point or another.
Will be one of us.
Well, because we will get a stadium sponsor, like, whether it's, like, sooner or later, because the amount of money that could bring in is probably the highest out of any income, along with the main shirt sponsor.
I mean, Mike Ashley, I know he obviously tried that, and he tried it like first we're going obviously Sports Direct Arena, which that was never going to fly. I mean, neither of them were going to fly, but like then he did change it to Sports Direct at St James's Park, didn't he? Which was equally as horrendous, but
Sports Direct in the name on it.
Yeah, but would we accept something of like that? Even like with the little
if something's going to bring
sign.
An absolute wedge of money into the club, then yes.
Yeah, that's the difference in it. Like, he wasn't even paying for it.
There's no money using it. It's just using it promoting.
But it's like business. The only reason they do it now is to bring money into the club. So,
like Dawes said, though, it's the way it's going. It's just that's how you get money. All the lower clubs are going to start doing it to keep up with the higher clubs. So everyone will be sponsored soon.
Yeah.
Much as
like
you don't want it,
Spotify
I don't want it.
At St James's Pod.
Oh, God.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I want it just to be St James's Park, but it's not going to be.
So if we want to really compete at the top end of the table, like, it's just something we're going to have to do.
Exactly.
Like, look, Etihad, Emirates, like, Old Trafford's not going to keep his name. When Chelsea get a new stadium, it's not going to stay Stamford Bridge.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? That's obviously the thing. Obviously, the Etihad and Emirates, it was obviously Main Road and Highbury, so they got completely new stadiums. Would you prefer a new stadium with a completely new name, or St James's Park, St James's Park with a new name there?
Just stay at St James's.
I think it has to be St James's, just for the location.
It's a hard enough balancing, like, idea as it is, with, like, obviously keeping the stadium in the city centre and expanding the stadium. So it's hard enough before you even bring the sponsors into account. But it's just the whole like idea of like being handcuffed by where the stadium is, and maybe max getting it to 60k, depending on planning permission.
Yeah.
Will that handcuff us in the future from, I don't know, stop fans from going to the match? Obviously, it's hard enough now for fans to get a ticket. Do you reckon adding an extra 8k will satisfy the demand? Probably not. So
where's the cut-off point to win it? Like, you don't want to go too much to then have empty seats every now and then. You don't want to go to an FA Cup game and have fucking 50,000 empty seats. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, I think it will get like that eventually. Obviously, it's not at the minute because it's a whole new, fresh, everything like that. But eventually, when, maybe 3-4 years down the line, things like that aren't going to sell out, in my opinion. If lower round, like third round FA Cup games and stuff like that, they're not going to sell out.
However, what they've done with the final tickets is really going to play into their hands with like the early cup games.
Yes, very true.
Seasons
very
to come,
true.
because season ticket holders and members will be fighting to get those
just to buy them. That's very
tickets,
true.
just to know that they'll be guaranteed a final ticket if we happen to get
PR master stroke.
Well, the balance will be to see if we get into Europe this year and say we finish. If we finish in the Europa Conference League position, let's say, just in case, as worst case scenario, like, are people going to turn up for those games against like 100%. The absolute minnows? Well, yeah, I don't know. I just put it out there. Like,
I think so.
I don't know what West Ham have been like.
Absolute minnows, like Aberdeen.
Have West Ham been in there though? How long West Ham been in Europe for? Was it last 2 seasons?
2 seasons now, yeah.
So it was a conference last season, and then Europa League season before?
No. Europa League last, conference this season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, conference this season, Europa League before. I was thinking that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
But we haven't been in Europe for that long.
It'll be the first time. We've been in Europe for so long.
We could be playing fucking Bosnia, and
I mean, we can't. They're an international team.
Fucking country.
If the Champions League, we'll face Spain, but if we get the Conference League, we'll just play like Bosnia or San Marino or someone.
You know what I mean? Some shitty country in Bosnia. That's what I mean.
I could be in Bosnia.
He's having a Western super here.
Let's segue nicely into international mags then.
I've had an absolute Western.
Seeing as it is the international break this weekend, or this week.
Great segue, Pete.
Obviously, Cher's not gone with his foot injury. Pope's not gone. Not sure what his
withdrawn himself.
Reason is. Yeah.
I
It's
thought that
through
was
injury,
foot.
isn't it? But is it foot? Or is it because he wants to hold in Dubai?
It's definitely because he wants to hold in Dubai. 100% for me, I think. He knows Pickford's playing. He's not getting a sniff. Let's go to Dubai with the boys.
It's good though. You'll be able to work on his footwork and that. Bit better than if he was
needs to
away with England. But who else is away then? We've got obviously Trips. Dubravka.
Botman
got his call up. Even though he's had a howler in the last game, which we'll get on to.
Scores own goals.
He's had a few stinking back passes in the past couple of games.
And
Lewis Miley.
You were talking about Lewis Miley getting under 17s, did he say?
England under 17s call up by. So it's nice to see one of the young'uns getting England call up for once. Like, Jesus, how long has it been since that's happened for
He's
a
got
youngster?
his brother plays the academy as well. What's his brother called?
Is it Lewis?
Is Lewis Miley was on about?
It's Riley, isn't
Twins? Got the same name.
No, we've had another Western lads. Lewis Smiley and
Hope you don't even know.
That's true though.
Jamie, I think it is.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, it is Jamie. Well done. Well done, Paige. Jamie's the younger one.
Page, good
Lewis
start.
Miley's the older one.
That's the other way round.
Can it be, man?
Jamie's 19. Jamie's
Sure.
19. Lewis is only 16.
Well, near enough.
Right, well, anyways, so we've had Miggy obviously injured, so he's not been called to the Paraguay squad. But that's ironically how I actually found out that Miggy was injured, because someone from Paraguay reported that he wasn't going on in national duty, so like late before the Forest game. After House press conference saying that there's no problems, we'll find out that Miggy's
Isn't it his
injured.
hammy as well?
It's like 6 weeks, isn't it?
Muscle injury.
I think it's his hammy as well, isn't it?
And I think Gordon's out a bit longer as well, you know.
Yeah, he said a couple of weeks, I think, so maybe, hopefully by the time the international break ends, Gordon might be just about making a return.
And obviously huge for Botman because it's his first call up to the national team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember why he didn't get called up the first time?
No.
It's because basically he refused to go to the under-21s camp in like the last time he got called up. He wanted to like focus on his club, and obviously he was like looking to get a transfer and that. So then when the next full time, well, it would have been the World Cup squad got announced. That's potentially why he was left in the dark, because he didn't want to go for the 21s in the previous squads.
See, when you first started saying that, I was thinking of Hudson-Odoi, but it was purely for him. It was purely because he wanted to be in the first England team, not the youngins, if you like. But when you finished that there, saying that you wanted to focus on his club, fair enough in my eyes. Like,
don't get us wrong, if he was called up to the full squad, he would have turned up. But
100%.
Yeah, Netherlands
It is a hard
centre
one,
halves.
like, isn't it? It's sort of what you're going to concentrate more on. It is a hard choice that to make. Like, thankfully, he didn't it?
Exactly.
And do you guys know when the lads are going to head to Dubai for the warm weather training?
I believe
I see pictures
there
of
now.
everyone on holiday.
Well, Bruno put a post on Instagram up today of Dubai with the skyline. I'm guessing that.
Yeah, I think he's there on holiday though, isn't he?
No,
he's been in Maldives.
He was in the Maldives with our fellow St James's pod substitute, Mr. Jordan Kerr.
I mean, he wasn't with them technically.
Well, same place.
But yeah, like you've got to fly via Dubai anyways, so that I guess it doesn't necessarily mean the rest of the squad are there yet, but he's obviously on his way, but he's back in some capacity.
I can't remember. It might be, Eddie Howe mentioned it, didn't he, after the game? But I don't actually think he said what day they were going. I think he just said, we're going to Dubai for the break.
That's some riveting news, thanks, Pete.
Just saying, mate, just in case someone might have tweaked someone's mind and thought, he did say Friday, but it clearly hasn't. So, let's segue again, lads.
They're not there for very long, though, are they?
That'd be fucking a week, wouldn't it? 5 days.
It's going to be a week max.
If it's a week max,
all right, then,
you're thinking they're going either today or tomorrow.
That's the thing. Got the Man U game. It's a week on Sunday, so they're not going to be going for any longer than a week. They're not going to get back any later than Wednesday, really, are they?
Mm-hmm. Do you think this one's going to be a proper training camp, or is it more just a?
I think it's just a
reward for.
I think it's a little, not a break, but a change of scenery, a little freshen up,
recharge of the.
Keep the morale high,
yeah. Keep the morale a little freshen up.
Well, we know what he did last year when obviously we were down in the shit, and he took the lads away and came back rejuvenated. Like, hopefully, same thing happens this time, but obviously the focus is on getting that Champions League spot. Yeah, I would think that they would just be recharging the batteries and just rather than an intense kind of.
But then again, I do think there'll be some. You know what Eddie Howe was like? He's it all comes out that in the training pitch. He's a brute, like he's aggressive. He wants 100%. So I think with Man United coming up, you'll not want to get beat off them for a third time this season at home. So I think there'll be a lot of.
It's
I do think there'll be a lot of
second
focus on this game.
I've only lost to them in the final. We drew at their place.
Oh shit!
No,
Sorry, we did draw at their place.
Old Trafford.
No, we did. Should have won actually.
It's another Western.
Get me off this fucking pod. I've had a week off. And I've gone to shit.
Just hopefully the Toon don't do the same.
Exactly.
Well, obviously we're on a decent bit of form again now after another 3 points. So let's dive into the review of the Forest games. Predictions wise, last week, Pagey, you said 3-1. Not bad. Dorsey said 2-0. And I said 1-0, so I was miles off.
Oh, fuck no.
But we all predicted a win and we got the win, so... obviously, we started with the same team. Hamstrung a little bit by Miggy's injury, so Murphy got the nod. And Page, got to say, he had a cracking game again. You must be absolutely thrilled with his performances.
No, yeah. Like I said after the Wolves game, like it is nice having them, that other option, like to have the right foot of play down that right side, and just another really solid performance. And I think he's playing himself into a bit of a maybe, I don't know, an extension of his contract, possibly.
I don't know if I said this to you at the game, Dawes, that I think Murphy has more impact. No, maybe Murphy can offer more than Miggy.
We're talking about it. Not obviously we didn't go to the Forest game, although the Wolves game. That he's not so
Wolves game,
predictable.
Wolves game we've been speaking about.
I think we might have mentioned it on last week's pod if you listen back, mate. But I basically saying how predictable the whole going down the right, passing it to Miggy cutting back, passing back to Trippier, like the whole spiel that we've been going over again on the right hand side. Whereas Murphy really makes you think he can do you down the line, cross up. To be fair,
he's putting the best balls in. He's putting the best balls in out of everyone on that fucking pitch.
Just like Geoff in between us, he's putting the best balls in. But to be fair, he could have had 2 assists in that first half as well.
Yeah.
He had the cross, which...
the one for Willock.
Oh, that was early on as well. But he looked slightly off balance, coming onto it, and he just scuffed it with his left foot.
Yeah, it was a bit of a stink.
And then he had the one where he cut it back to Longstaff on the edge, which is deflected short off the bar. So, and that was, I think, Murphy, I think he was running down the right with the defender, and he pinched her off him, and they were calling for a foul. And then that's when he cut it back to Longstaff. And then that was unlucky not to dip under the bar, but
we're not used to them balls in the box. We're not used to them balls in the box at all. I'm hoping that maybe it's after Wolves, because you could sort of see it against Forest a bit more, that there was a couple more people sort of on the end of them. So I'm hoping that it's something that he has worked on, because he can fire some cracking balls across the box.
He put a zips in as well.
Oh, there's some fizz on them. He literally just needs a foot on in the ring.
That one you're talking... Well, Willock got his foot on. Absolutely skied it. But that one you're talking about, Dawes, where Longstaff hits the bar off the deflection. I'm sure Murphy, you're saying they thought they had a foul. I'm sure Loddy tries to grab the ball as well. He actually tries to handball it.
Oh, he doesn't like Bruno, didn't he?
Yeah.
He fell on it and almost grabbed it.
Yeah. Could have been a yellow card at least. If
while you're talking about yellow cards, Jesus Christ. Andre Ayew should have been booked in the first 5 minutes. Shelby should have been booked in the first 10 minutes. Possibly twice. Yates should have been booked early in the first half.
Yeah.
It's bad, the referee not having hold on that game, just let them carry on doing it all bloody game. Second half, they came out and stopped winning transition, constantly. And if the ref was a bit, not even stricter, if he just stuck to the rule book, instead of not giving someone a yellow card because it's the first 5 minutes. If they were in the 70 minutes, they would have all been bookings. If he'd done that throughout the game, Of course, it's not even a rule though. It's
you
not a rule.
know
It's
what I
just,
mean. It's like an unwritten rule.
It's just a mentality.
We
It's
don't want to
early
ruin the
on.
game.
Yeah,
It's
there was some
fucking bollocks.
horrendous scissor challenges. Like Shelby done Bruno 3 times in the first 20 minutes, and 2 of them could have been yellow cards.
Yeah.
Well, we did say that, didn't we? In the last pod, we were kind of half jokingly said, like, will Shelby go out there looking to like cause a little bit of trouble? Like, and to be fair, we all said that he would be like respectful and everything, but he was far from it. He was
I didn't
actually
think he would be.
yeah,
I stuck a bet on that he'd get booked. Like,
I mean, he's competitive, and I'm not saying he needs to like approach the game and like be just absolute like mates with everybody and just let them like dance past them. But like, no, the tackles were naughty, and he seemed very much like he wanted to put some damage on Bruno to like prevent like his influence on the game.
Talking about Shelby, so when obviously he left, then we were left a bit short in midfield because I think Bruno got an injury. I think and then there was obviously Joe Linton's carry on with the cards and stuff, and we were like, shouldn't have sold Shelby. What a man that's been. Personally, I think he looked shit against us. He was, I think he didn't look like he could play. He just wanted to spray the ball. He stood in that centre, for me, he stood in that centre circle, trying to hack people down and trying to play a long ball majority of the time. I didn't think he looked good at all. So I was half thinking
that's
like
what he did for us. To be fair,
yes, but
he didn't really like that.
I didn't think he was that bad for us. Like, obviously, you could see he had better players around him in a better style of play. But if that's the player that would have stayed with us, no thanks. Crack on, sell him, because I didn't think he played well. I didn't think he was nice to watch. Just literally going through people and playing long balls. I was thinking, nah, not for me. Like,
I think Cooper had a stinker with his formation. He played 2 in the midfield. We always play with 3 in the midfield. Every game we play with 3. They played with Shelby and Yates in the midfield, and they just couldn't handle it. Like when Pidgey was talking about Shelby like trying to do Bruno, I don't know if it was half that he was trying to do him or whether he just couldn't get close to him because he couldn't. Those first like 10-15 minutes, Bruno he's so sharp he can get that touch away from Shelby. So then the late challenges just kept coming in because he couldn't lay a glove on him.
It was either let him run past us or try and stick one on him.
Yeah. So when the team sheets came out and you had Dennis, Ayew, Morgan Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson on the pitch, like they're going to be left a man down in midfield. So I think you got it like playing 4 attackers against us when we're going to like have the ball so much.
Yeah.
I think that's where they lost it in midfield, and Shelby couldn't keep up, and Yates
should have lost it early. Midfield,
couldn't handle it.
However, Shelby did spray the ball that led to their goal. So
it was a hit and hope. You smashed it along the line.
And then I wouldn't class that as a fucking great ball. Now it was a complete fucking luck. The Botman had the ball. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Botman doesn't even look over his shoulder. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just expected Pope to be there, and obviously he didn't know about Dennis running onto it. If you watch the footage back, he's got his eye like looking forward, and then he turns and passes it without even putting his head up. And credit to Dennis, it was a ridiculous finish. Like,
beautiful finish, but
it was class.
It doesn't.
I was watching it
doesn't come
last
about.
night. I was trying to because you see Botman recover, like doing his recovery run. He actually runs past Dennis, almost like to try and block it off the line. And I'm thinking, watching it back, why doesn't he just go for the challenge? Because he actually runs past Dennis.
He's standing in the wrong position.
Yeah, but I think it's just because the finish is that good. Like, it's exactly where it needs to be to go in, because there's Trippier there, there's Botman there, and then he's got to beat Pope as well. So I think 9 times out of 10, the 3 of them have it covered, but he just finishes it that well that there's not really you can do at that point. But yeah, like you say, the back pass is horrendous.
Totally against the run of play, and but especially because we've had, I know we won the previous game against Wolves, but the ones before that, we've looked, when we've conceded the first goal, like a bit shaky and like things. But no, credit to them. Like we responded pretty well after, and obviously it was important. I think the timing of the equaliser just before half time.
Yeah, definitely. That was key, that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like we'll talk about finishes and whether or not Isak's, he claims he meant it, but like,
I do definitely think he meant it. But did he shin it?
He didn't mean to shin it. Yeah.
I didn't think
it came off his
he
shin.
It. I thought it was sort of like I didn't think it was as high as his shin, like. I thought it was sort of
his shin.
Like the outside of his boot to his heel type thing. I don't know why I'm doing that.
No, it's it's great anatomy, that, like.
Fucking Jesus.
No, it's 100% shin, but I mean, yeah, he could have, like, I mean, he obviously put his leg there, like, meaningfully, so
It's
like,
just slightly ahead of the ball, wasn't he?
Yeah, but then obviously guided it perfectly into the off the post, like into the corner. So yeah, but obviously the forgot to mention that Willock's part in that goal as well was fantastic as well. Like
Willock was immense, man. Build up play, so good. He's been fucking on that left wing where Maxi plays. He's been brilliant. Like is he better at running with the ball than Maxi? I think he is.
He definitely
dribbling wise, no.
Purpose, yeah.
Dribbling wise, no. But actually running with the ball and affecting the game, I think it's more effective, me, because he drives. He runs with. He's strong. Rather than
he's quick.
He is quick, sneaky quick, as you say.
He covers ground like.
Hi.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Maxi, I'm not trying to put Maxi down out that, but I mean, slight little nudge or a tackle, and he's on the floor, and that's it. Gone. Play's gone. So for the amount of times that Willock does it well, and then the amount of times Maxi does it well. When Maxi does it once, it's brilliant, but the 6 other times that he tries to do it and gets tackled or on the floor or whatever, nothing comes of it. So, oh, for fuck's sake. But Willock seems to do it constantly. And he legs it down that line and he makes up so much ground. I think Willock does it better. He's a lot more consistent at it as well. It might not look as pretty as Maxi.
Definitely good in the trend. Oh, yeah, it's more direct. It's not like Maxi looking to cut in and do the skills, but like it's direct and he shields the ball well, like, and when he's running with it, obviously helps us in that transition of getting from midfield into attack. And yeah, he's becoming a very well-rounded player. And like again, like I mean, I'll just go back to like internationals and stuff. Like there's some England players that are getting
Mason
called
Mount for one.
You know, Mason Mount, yeah, exactly, not in great form. Like, but Willock's, playing really well, and I doubt he's even been considered.
Nah, it'll come.
But hopefully, but I just at the minute I don't even think he's on the radar of Southgate, which would be
like the Southgate factor. You could have predicted that team, mate. You know what I mean? You could have predicted who was going to pick. Copy and paste. Safe.
But yeah,
Safegate.
No, very safe. But like Willock's like on form, like, and again in that Forest game, like was up there with one of the better players on the pitch, like, and he's I don't know.
He was against Wolves.
Needs to,
obviously had that. It seems like
on from what.
Go on, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, following on from what you were saying about like dribbling Maxi versus Willock. How many chances does Willock make? How many chances does Maxi make? Maxi, like, I can't remember the last time he made like a big chance. Like he doesn't, his end product hasn't been great lately. His decision making hasn't been great lately. Willock seems to make chances every single game for his teammates. Like obviously, you put the cross in for the first goal, you put the cross in for the handball for the penalty, and not only that, he's constantly driving them forward and creating a load more chances every game.
Definitely.
Like
Maxi will do that run down the line, cut inside again, and then probably get a central defender and come out and nick the ball and be away with it. Or you'll just lash at it. I don't know. I think I'd rather... There's obviously different games for different players. But at the minute, Maxi doesn't get a look in, like... Not the way Willock's playing. I was going to say
Maxi
there...
obviously...
Go on, mate.
Maxi obviously started on the left, and then for that goal, he actually got moved up front, didn't he? Because he was carrying a knock, which is the odd thing when you watch the goal back. It's like Maxi's actually on the right, and he plays the ball to Willock. Willock's kind of on the right as well, and then he plays it across, and then he's actually coming in from the left to score it. So I just mention the fact Maxi was involved in the build-up to that, because he didn't have his best game and he comes off at half time, but he does get a lot of stick, Maxi, so I think it's worth mentioning his part in the goal.
He does get a lot of stick.
And also Willock plays like centre mid. He's like the left of the three, and he's not exactly the same position as Maxi, so
when Joe Linton plays.
Yeah.
When Joe Linton plays, they both switch around.
That's what I was going to say next.
Yeah, they're switching around.
Joe Linton's back. Does Joe Linton walk straight back into the team? Because he hasn't been injured. He's just been suspended.
Probably comes in for Maxi, I would imagine.
I would say for the Man U game, you want somebody of like Joe Linton's physicality in there just to
definitely
try and win that midfield battle. But no, it's a good point though, because I know we've just been saying how light we are after selling Shelvey, but then we just talked about potential selection headaches in that sort of midfield / left winger position. Because I
think we noticed it against Wolves. There was a sort of gap in the midfield where the ball couldn't settle. Ball was getting played around midfield, but it was never sort of brought down, slowed down, and sort of controlled, if you like. So obviously you don't want Joe Linton to bring the ball down. He'll hold people off. He's like a foundation in that midfield. I think that was slightly missing again. I know we're talking about Forest, but I think it was slightly missing. Didn't notice it as much against Forest, but Wolves, I noticed it. That there wasn't as much, I don't know, strength, if you like.
Yeah, I think the way Forest play, we didn't miss it as much, did we? But
well, the two centre midfielders, we didn't need to necessarily be as like strong and physical because we're overloading them in that position. But you're right. If we come up against a team who either have another 3-man midfield or stronger 2-man midfield like Man United will do, then I think you're right. We do probably need to include somebody like Joe Linton in there, because a Longstaff, much as he is, physically looks imposing, I don't think he offers too much in the way of being like a brute kind of in that midfield position. Yeah. He'll put himself about, but he's not going to...
He's going forward too much, doesn't he? He's a lot better at going forward with the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
One lad who's bulked up a bit and we're going to have to talk about is Arneson. Obviously comes on for Maxi. Has an amazing game. So
best game I've seen him play.
Does he deserve to keep his spot there instead of Joe Linton coming in?
Nah, he'll not start.
Well,
not against Man United.
No, maybe not against Man U. We were talking in the preview for the game that we were thinking he was going to start due to potentially Longstaff not making it for the starting 11 for Forest. But fair play for him. Like he's obviously very much on that cusp of that starting 11, and he's going to only done positive things in terms of breaking through into that team at the back end of the season. Like the goal. Obviously,
you see the difference of him playing on the left as well, though, because so far he's always been centre mid.
Oh, I mean the way he, like, got above Aurier for the goal that should have been.
Yeah, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, that was a great head. I like it.
Just on the actual physical kind of presence he had at the back post there. He just absolutely dominated Aurier in the air and like absolute belter of a header. You're right.
When you're talking about that, did you see the photo? Obviously, we won. The winners' photo at the end. He obviously didn't have his shirt on. He's ripped to bits. That lad, like it's like he's just changed like that. Yeah. Like he's a beast now. Like he's a big lad. So it's good to see.
I think he needed it.
Yeah,
like I think he's been. Yeah, and I'm sure that was something that Eddie and the backroom staff identified.
He looked hungry as well. Like,
wait, yeah, like you would, because you're seeing these potentials like popping up, especially when we get suspensions and injuries cropping up as we have been. We need the young players like him. Chomping at the bit, and like, he's ready. I think he is Premier League ready. I know there's been talk that he might end up going out on loan to the Championship next season, but I don't know. I don't know if I would want that. I think he has a place in this team, and hopefully get to, maybe not against Man U, but like maybe against some other teams towards the end of the season. He gets maybe the odd start here and there.
The thing is, though, he started against Liverpool, so I don't know how
against Liverpool or not.
Man U's like,
he's not going to start.
I don't know if that will come into Eddie's thinking or not.
Nah, no chance to start against Man U. Didn't he only start against Liverpool because we're short?
You're short.
No. Yeah, I knew that was.
Speak for yourself.
Fucking tee that one up for you, a bunch of wankers. I'm sure that's why he played.
Do you mean me?
I'm sure that's why he played.
Yeah, but
we had bodies missing.
Yeah, well, missing players, but yeah. Anyway, let's talk about horrendous refereeing.
Jesus Christ, man!
Why?
The only people who think that's offside is VAR and Paul Tini. Nobody else. Oh, and the Mackhams.
Even Mackhams, like, I've no idea how that was ruled out.
I've not seen anyone
embarrassing, man. It's just absolutely embarrassing. To come to that decision, firstly, for asking Paul Tini to go to the monitor, how does that happen on offsides now? It's literally on or off. Like, the referee doesn't need to make his mind up. It's on or off. So VAR, basically that means VAR didn't have a fucking clue of what the rule was for that. So they've said, Paul Tini, it's up to you.
Two different sets of referees didn't know the rules. VAR people didn't know the rules because they sent them the monitor. And then Tierney doesn't know the rules because he watched that multiple times.
Yeah.
And thought that Felipe hadn't intentionally played the ball. He clears the ball with his foot. He looks at it and clears the ball. Just because he sliced it doesn't mean that he didn't intentionally hit it.
Fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, his leg goes to the ball. Like, it's not the ball going to his leg. His leg purposely, like,
two players
intersects the ball.
Two players intentionally booted the ball. Second one just happened to be off Longstaff, a foot away from him. But it was. I mean, to be fair, every single person, even like the pundits, Neville, Carragher, Eddie Howe mentioned it after the game. He even said, "I need to go and have a look at this rule because nobody had a clue."
That's his diplomatic way of criticising the refs, I think.
Yeah, I need to look at the
Instead of him coming out and saying the ref was a fucking idiot, got it wrong. He was almost joking, oh well, if I don't know the rules if that was ruled out, kind of. So I think that was Eddie's way of
I know we've seen the goals ruled out when somebody doesn't touch it, but they've maybe obscured the keeper's view, and then they've called it offside because they've been involved in sort of, and I mean that is a grey area as well. But this one is just so again, it's so subjective. But I mean, it's so clear that it wasn't a deflection, and it was an intentional play on the ball.
But
play.
Also,
yeah.
I didn't think you could be offside if it came off a defender. Fair enough if you were affecting the ball in play somehow, but he wasn't. The ball wasn't played anywhere near him, so I don't understand how he's offside. Like this must be a new rule. This must be a new rule that if it's deflected and it comes off and he's offside, because the ball wasn't played at him for a start. He wasn't involved in that phase of play for me.
Well, what they're saying is you're not onside if it's accidental. So they're saying like it's whether or not it's deliberate, and that's why he's caught the monitor, is because they're wanting to check his decision on whether or not he played the ball deliberately. And then the part of the rule book they're looking at is it says it has to be under control. So there's like a few things that need to be. Yeah. So what they're saying is he wasn't in control of the ball. And it's like if you compare it to Botman's, because obviously when Botman plays it back to Pope, Dennis is in an offside position, but he like kicks the ball. He's in full control of the ball, and he like tries to play it back to Pope. And then when I read that and I'm like thinking about it in my head, I'm like, okay, so I kind of get why he's looking at it. He's thinking like he's not in control of the ball. He's just kind of wildly kicked at it.
But
then
he's controlled.
I watched it back after that. Yeah,
he's made a conscious decision,
that, and it's like you can't even watch it without being like, it's a terrible.
I was wondering where you were going with that, Sam. I'm not going to lie. I was going to have an argument with you there until you went. When you watch it back, you can't come to any other decision. I thought you were going to go, well, I can see why 14 he's given it his offside.
I think that's the issue, is though the people in VAR are just like literally sat there with the rule book in front of them, and they're like, oh yeah, so by letter of the law it's like this, this and this, and then they're probably relaying that to him.
It's like they're looking for a reason going, not for the goal.
Yeah,
they highlighted it,
which is not what
on what's it called, Referee Watch on Sky, where they have Dermot Gallagher. And they literally put the rules up and highlighted it. That if he unintentionally played it, they were saying he's 100% intentionally played that ball. He's tried to defend it, kicked it with his left foot. He just so happened to fuck it up. Anyway.
Yep.
By the way, it's so horrible because not only was it Elliot Anderson's first goal for the Toon in front of the away crowd, Isaac's skill to put that ball in is fucking ridiculous. He's on the floor. He manages to get up, drag the ball back, absolutely do the defender, and perfectly hang the ball at the back post. And then obviously we've talked about
that little bit of skill was nuts, like where he rolled his foot over it and pulled it back and said, "What is going on here?"
Yeah.
I remember I was sat in the house watching it on my own, looking at the telly, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, stop it!"
Were you like looking around, like, come on, everyone.
How has he just done that?
I'm looking on your neighbour, like.
When the goal goes in, and then they say like a VAR check, it was one of those where like you don't know what it's for.
Yeah,
you genuinely don't know what it's for. You're like, offside? How's he offside? Elliot Anderson was like, he was miles behind his man. Isaac was onside. It was like you literally didn't understand what was even happening. It was fucking
on my
mental.
stream. It was like, it's gone to VAR, and like literally instantly, the commentators are both like, yeah, but it's definitely onside. It comes off the defender, and so it's like straight away you're like, oh, it's fine, and then like it keeps going, and they start going, well, we're still looking at it, so.
And then it goes over the monitor, and when he goes over the monitor, it's a done deal.
Aye, of course it is.
Yeah. It would have been mint if like you could have heard the discussion to see like.
We said this on the pod last week. You should be able to hear them.
Yeah, with the rugby and stuff.
I want to hear them.
I'd love to
talk about the rules incorrectly. So then, Tierney should be pulled off the next round of games. You should be sitting in a classroom and learning the rule book because it's a fucking joke.
I mean, it would have been
at least
a great
we know
weekend.
like whose fault.
Oh, totally. But I was just going to say it would have been a great weekend to have the audio on the refs to see what Mitra had said to the ref in the Man U game to get himself.
Chris Kavanagh.
Well, Chris Kavanagh, yeah, like because I mean, that would have been something to hear. But that's exactly the reason why we don't have the audio because, like, yeah, imagine.
But this is why we should.
Exactly.
You
You could have the audio
shouting, swearing at refs, crowding them out. This would stop it.
You could have the audio at the VAR side. So you're not getting the players.
They've started covering them out purely so they can also talk shit. So the cameras can't pick it up.
Yeah.
So fucking mic them up. Mic them up. What? I don't understand why we haven't. Even so, you've got that. That's a plus.
Because it'll show how
decisions are made.
You
know. But it'll also show how decisions are made. When it goes to VAR in rugby, the ref's there on the pitch, watching the screen, communicating with the room, and everyone can hear it. Everyone knows why he's came to that decision. But the thing is, before we even got to that point, footballers, managers, coaches, whoever, get interviewed after the game. Oh, what do you think happened to you? What did happen to you? Why did this do that? Why did you play like that? The refs are in the fucking changing room having a wank. Do you know what I mean? They're nowhere to be seen. Why don't they get interviewed? It's true though. Why are they? They are in charge of that game, and they get away scot free because nobody asks them anything. Absolutely nothing.
It's just don't get that to account. Like
much. After the match, you might probably guess the game why that went on. It's a fucking joke. Instead of just release it's usually in the studio, isn't it? They get some chat through, and they're like, "Oh, we're hearing he came to that decision because of this." Well, let him tell us that. Let him tell us why he's came to that decision, and let him go, "Oh, well, I think he's intentionally kicked it," then everyone can tell him, "You're a fucking idiot." Honestly, I don't understand how it's got to this point. And I mean, rugby had VAR before football did. I don't know what they call it. It's not VAR. So hopefully we will get to that stage where the refs will be mic'd up. And like you say, the whole Mitrovic crack will be stamped out. Because you can't get away with it.
Yeah. One thing I was just going to follow up on, Dorse, when you're saying about obviously it's such a shame for Anderson. Do you think in a weird way this is kind of like almost going to help his career as well though, because it's such like a big news story that like everyone in the Premier League's heard of him now. Everyone's seen his goal, and he's like kind of arrived on the scene, and it was away from home as well, so it's not like he's had one taken away at St James.
Probably because if say like club youth prospects who come through at other clubs and they have a few cameos, we probably don't really know them as well. Like say like Evan Ferguson's coming through for Brighton. You're only hearing his name because he's starting to score for you and he's like looking really bright when he plays. So it's probably the same with other clubs looking at Newcastle, that when this young lad's coming off the bench for like 5-10 minutes a game, people won't know who he is. But the fact that he's been in this controversy, I think it will spur him on. And like, as Pete said, this is the best game that I've seen him play. Like, you couldn't fault Eddie Howe for starting Elliot Anderson next game over Maxi, because if you look at Maxi's first half compared to Anderson's second, it's chalk and cheese. Like, he looked brilliant.
Yeah. Are you believing the injury?
Of like a young like Ross Barkley. Like, I don't know if it's because he looks a bit like him or like it's like stature, the way he plays. He's just like low centre of gravity. He's really good on the ball, and he's just really positive with the ball as well. Like,
yeah, it's the positivity in it. Like, just always trying to get the ball forward, always attacking the goal, which is different to the rest of the way we play, really. Because I mean, Murphy did it quite a few times, but a lot of the time we've been used to it comes back the full back and then you recycle it.
I did think like even going into the second half, we're really positive. We were like really on the front foot. like constantly. Even when the goal got disallowed, you thought it might like hamper our spirits a little bit. We still like created chance after chance. We were like going forward. Even I think one of the lads put in the group chat like going like into the last like 10 minutes, or like we need to make a change, or are we making a change? Like should Wilson come on? And I'd said like no, like we are full in control. We're creating chances. Like nothing needs to change. Like we don't need to change like put 2 up top or something like that because we were still creating chances. Yeah, like and I know like we were running out of time, but it seemed like a matter of time, like where it was like it was relentless. And thankfully, Niakite had an absolute fucking brain fart and saved the day for him because what is he doing? Like you see like literally half a second after the pen got given, while the ball hit his hand, his head was in his hands because he knew before the ref even blew his whistle, his head was in his hands. He knew that his arm was in the air, the ball hit it, and he completely fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the honest reaction he had because, like, he knew how much it obviously means.
Needs to like, tail antics.
No, none of that. Like, you know, not like, you know, Willian, who was like, again, like for that incident. Mm-hmm. Yeah, who was trying to act like it had come off his chest and all that stuff. But no, I mean, he knows how much it cost his team at that moment in the game, because obviously with Forest fighting for against relegation, like it's a massive moment to give that away. So I know Forest fans would have been frustrated as hell, but I reckon there'll be a few of them who would be like, you know, at least he's showing a bit of like care and like, you know, in his reaction that he knows what he did was a bad mistake. But yeah, at least common sense prevailed and they didn't try and rule that one out as like a accidental handball or not, because it was clear as day. Like, and yeah, great finish from Isak. But we haven't mentioned that
the shithousery.
Trippier's little shithousery and psyching them out. Like, yeah, I quite like that.
When Navas was given Isak like, shit, wasn't he?
All along. Navas said like all along that he knew that like Isak was going to take it.
Oh really?
So like I think Trippier probably helped like the rest of the team give him a bit of give Trippier a bit of shit over Isak, but like Navas was like said it early on like, oh, like I know you're going to take it, but
he got booed as well.
Still seen Trippier's little grin.
Yeah, he got booed because he was mouthing off. Yeah. That's funny. He's got his little grin, like got that crease. But what about that celebration at the end though? I would have loved to have been in that away end. That looked at bedlam.
Aye, there's some injuries caused there. Like,
even after I think it was like half an hour after the match was over, when the players and Eddie Howe were getting injured, they were still singing. They stood down the stand singing away. Didn't want to go home. Fucking brilliant, man. Absolutely class. Looks like a ridiculous atmosphere.
I would have had
I didn't know until after the game. They hadn't lost at home since September.
Yeah. Really?
Like,
yeah.
So,
Jesus, I didn't know that. Gone there. Like City didn't beat them.
They'd be getting draws against the top teams.
Yeah, beat Liverpool.
Yeah. Class level.
Yeah, September, and I didn't know this until after we'd won. So, what are 3 points to get? And now
it's also the first time we'd come back from behind, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think all season. So,
and now top four is in our hands as well. Now, going in international break with 2 wins.
Yeah.
Like,
spirits that's exactly what we needed as well.
It could be huge, yeah. You know, in the scope of our season, it could be huge. He's playing his first 90 minutes.
Aye.
What do you make of his meltdown? Because if he goes...
He's going.
Yeah, that could be bad for us, isn't it?
Conte.
Oh, Conte, sorry, I didn't hear you. Yeah, he's gone. He wants a sack, doesn't he? He's fucking begging for the sack.
Did you think he was calling something else?
Wear a t-shirt saying, give me a payoff and sack me. That's exactly what he's wanting.
But if they get Poch back, that could really help them out.
Poch has said that he's not going to come back until the summer. Like he's going to stick by his little period of rest or whatever he's said since his last job. So
it's hard. Yeah. I'm sure someone mentioned that they wanted fucking Mourinho back. Positive, I heard that.
Why would you go
just scratching around? They're just scratching around. They're just scratching around for who can they get in who wants to come to that absolute poison of a club? But the thing is, right, whether Ryan Mason takes it at the end of the season, which will be a fucking calamity, by the way, if Qatar buy Man United, they will spunk 150 million, whatever, on Harry Kane to go to Man United. That'll be their massive statement signing, Harry Kane, if they get in. And now they want 100 million for him. Qatar will pay that because it's Qatar. I was saying this to lads at work, right? We're lucky in the fact that we've got Jamie Rubin and Amanda and Murdad, because it sort of grounds the ownership a bit. And they're like the go-between between how things work. I think if we were owned by Saudi, I think there'd be money getting pissed up the wall on superstars. I mean, the Saudi club just bought Ronaldo, for fuck's sake. So I think it would be like that with us. They'd just buy names and that. But luckily, I think, because Amanda and obviously Ruben was on the board at QPR, they've bought well in sort of the infrastructure, the scouting, Dan Ashworth and all that. So they've done that well, who's then buying the right players. When it comes to Man United, it's going to be fully Qatari owned. I think it's going to be a bit of almost a bit like a Chelsea, if you like. They're just going to spend money left, right and centre. I think that's what it's going to be like, mate. They've obviously, I know they're massively in debt, but I don't know how much financial fair play will affect them, because I know they bring in so much revenue, but because they've been so much in debt, I don't know how that balances out. Like $500 million in debt.
It doesn't affect financial fair play.
What, being in debt?
Not for them, no.
That's from.
It's to do with profit and losses, like season on season. So,
well, there you go.
As long as they're obviously making a fortune. Years, like the new owners could come in, pay off the debt, and it doesn't really affect financial fair play. So
they'll be pissing money up the wall.
Could probably get owners in and spend, what Chelsea did.
That's 100% what they're going to do, by the way. Harry Kane will be getting bought in the summer if Qataris take over. Harry Kane's getting bought, and he's going to be on fucking 350 grand a week.
Then will Poch want to go to Tottenham without Harry Kane?
I think that's what's going to fuck them. I think that's what I mean. If they don't get someone in now to steady the ship, whatever, almost like a Ten Hag at Man United. I know it took a little bit of time, but if they don't get someone in now, stop going for these big names. Get someone who can actually do the job. And then if they can get someone like that, Harry Kane might stay. But if they don't, and they get someone like another Conte, another Mourinho, whatever, it's just a circle. Like, it's going to keep happening.
Well, do we reckon that Spurs fall out of being one of the traditional top six, as they call it? Like, do you reckon that their place is numbered?
Well, I was just thinking there about their squad and how many of their team would get into our first team. Bentancur, Son, Kane, Kulusevski. Can't think of any other player that would get in our team. I was thinking from back to front. If we're not a top 4 team, they are also not a top 4 team despite being in 4th place.
This is the thing, though, is Conte even doing that bad of a job?
Wait, that's the thing?
Because Spurs aren't that good, and they're in 4th position. So,
no, that's what it is, though. Well, it's Spurs, so it's just Spursy, isn't it?
So patchy, yes. So patchy form.
Plus, he's coming out and saying it's not a team. So it's like, well... But did you see the stat that came out, by the way, about having Dyer and Sanchez in defence? That it was it was either Dyer or Sanchez I don't know if it was on every big loss or something like that. It was, or if it was in the cup, I can't remember. But it was Dyer played, Sanchez played, Dyer and Sanchez played for the past 6 years or something like that. It was always Dyer and Sanchez at the back. It's it just shows that it's sort of stagnating. It was a massive point. I can't describe it off the top of my head, but it was a massive point being proved that the Tottenham aren't going anywhere because they're just not building. They keep replacing a couple of players. Obviously they got Kulusevski and stuff like that, Bentancur, but what's happening at the back? It's fucking bollocks.
Don't get us wrong, Romero is a class centre half, but he's a fucking heed the ball. He's a liability. He can have those fucking mental moments where he can get sent off or have a mistake at the back. Would he be an upgrade on Shaw? Yeah, probably would. He's young. He's a World Cup winner, but I don't know if we need someone who's a liability at the back in our team.
Did you see There was a little clip. It was who did Tottenham play last and they got beat?
Southampton drew 3-3.
Southampton. Aye.
Might have been Southampton.
3-1
There was a clip of Conte, Ryan Mason, and one of the other assistants on the line, and Harry Kane was there talking to them. And Harry Kane went to walk away, and Conte and the other assistant didn't say anything, and Ryan Mason stood there and went, as if to say, like, what the fuck's going on? What are we doing? Because Conte and the other assistant didn't tell Harry Kane anything, and Ryan Mason stood there like, what is going on here? It was hilarious, like, on the camera. It's fucking hilarious. But it's so disjointed, that club. So disjointed. And it's fucking brilliant to watch, to be fair.
Aye.
It's great to see the meltdown. The fans meltdown on the pitch. It's fucking brilliant.
Just back on us, though. Did you see with Graham Jones on the sideline? When he was ranting and raving and like, almost having a bit of a to-do with Eddie.
It looked like Eddie Howe was like, I know. Just leave us alone, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think it was about
what do you think their dynamic's like? Because obviously he's been forced upon them. And then you see him sometimes after like a win. Jones is always like coming over and hugging him.
No, they did. Yeah, you see they were forced upon him. But like, I know Jones was there before Eddie's team came in, but they were there at Bournemouth together. Like,
I thought they were together,
Jones,
yeah.
I don't think they were.
No, I'm pretty confident that Jones came.
I was positive that they were together at some point, like
towards the end of Eddie's time at Bournemouth.
Oh, here we go. Facts are out, boys.
Eddie's saying that when he first came in, that he's not worked with them before, but he's looking forward to it.
Paige, you look like you're wrong, mate. Have you just searched it?
No, I'm kidding.
I thought you just searched it. You're wrong. I thought you were about to backtrack.
No, I don't want to be having a Western, so I'm not going to say anymore.
I think they all know the place. I think they look like they get on really well. Him, Mad Dog, and Jonesy. I think they look spot on.
What do you think Jonesy was raving at, though? I
think it was Maxi not backtracking. Because Tyndall was as well. I could be wrong because Jonesy's more, well, I don't know. But I think that's what I'm saying that because I think he was sort of pointing up the wing towards Maxi. I could be fucking wrong. But Tyndall was going mad as well. I don't know. To blame. All right, see that page.
Obviously was wrong.
It's a bit of a guess, but I can't think of anything else. For
Jonesy, to me, always seems to be the one who puts his arm around Maxi, and like,
well, he's like the attacking coach, isn't he?
Yeah, so I actually think it was to do with like persistent fouling from Forest. He was just getting pissed off with it, but
we'll never fucking know.
Well, I mean, it's just total guessing it, but
yeah,
I don't know if like the broadcast back there like showed a bit more, or because there was stuff with Wilson
Eddie
on the sideline talking to him as well, wasn't
there? It came out though. Paige is right.
Paige is right.
I thought they were together as well. Yeah, well done, Paige.
Graham Jones had his first managerial job at Luton Town. He left in April 2020, going to serve as an assistant at Bournemouth, and Eddie Howe didn't leave until the summer.
No!
So they might have worked together for like a month or two.
Another Sam fact there.
Fact Sam.
Fact Sam scoop.
I'll get the Eddie Howe interview up.
Yeah, fact Sam at the end of the season.
What was I going to say there? Can't remember what we were talking about. Oh yeah, the whole Wilson thing. I came out, Eddie, that he was just talking about Wilson, asking how he felt and stuff. Because it was didn't we feel like it was before half time, wasn't it? And they were like, oh, we're 1-0 down. Though we all thought, oh, they're going to chuck Wilson and Isak on to try and get a goal. Eddie Howe came out after the game and just said, oh, I was just talking to them because he's been feeling unwell still. And I just wanted to see how he was feeling, blah, blah, blah. But he said he wasn't bringing him on at that stage. That's what he said. It could be complete bullshit.
So, I'm just looking at it. Chronicle.
He doesn't want to let it go.
He's still under this.
Says even though Graham Jones hasn't worked with Eddie Howe in the past.
Who's it? What paper was it from, mate?
Chronicle.
The Chronicle.
Dark Chase.
Jesus Christ. The Chronicle.
Aye, fucking hell. Was it Lee Ryder who did that article?
Lee Schneider.
Just trying to have a look now.
Are you not
I think he came in after Eddie left Bournemouth.
God. Let it go, mate.
Right, moving on.
It's Rudy's day at work.
Sorry.
Let's move.
You guys carry on. I'm just going to keep reading.
Oh, fucking Jesus. He's just going to make something up now, isn't he?
It says, although Howe and Jones have never worked together, the pair share a mutual friend in former Bournemouth number 2, Rob Newman. So, I don't think they've worked together before. I'll post Eddie's interview
Let's just agree to disagree on this matter.
There's nothing really left to move on to, is there? I think
nice little break before the Man U game. Come back,
right, little winter camp. Winter camp,
fucking smash them.
Sunshine camp.
When is the Man U game? What
Sunday,
day is it on? Is it the Saturday?
Sunday.
All 4 kick-off on
sick to death
Sunday.
of Sunday games, mate.
It's on,
sick to the back teeth of
it's
Sunday
on
games.
Sky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's alright, it's on the Sunday. And then the game after that, is it Southampton after that?
No, West Ham and then Brentford, both away.
We're close, yeah.
Well, no, home game, I mean, because that's another Sunday.
No, it's not until Spurs.
Yeah,
Spurs.
Spurs.
It must be Spurs and Southampton, I think, because I was looking at the tickets today.
Yeah, it is Spurs then Southampton, but we've got quite a few
Sunday
away games
again, man. Yeah.
Got some big away games to come. Like those 3 on the bounce are going to be after the Man U one. They're going to be pretty difficult ones, I'd imagine. But
Scrappy.
In terms of home games left though. Like, I mean,
I think there's only 5 left, isn't there?
There's only 4. Man U and then Spurs and then Southampton and Arsenal.
Southampton, Chelsea,
and then Leicester,
Arsenal. Who's the last game of the season at home?
Away to Chelsea.
We've got
Leicester at home before.
Oh, to away to Chelsea, right? To away to Chelsea.
Sorry, yeah, I missed that one off.
Count on your Tommy fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
No predictions this week, yeah?
No, we'll be back next week for predictions for the Man U game. Paige, will you be joining us or pickleballing?
Pickle your balls.
Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles. Look at that.
Tommy Pickles.
It's not Tommy Pickles from Rugrats, is it?
Tommy Pickles.
I've not thought of this before.
Tommy Pickles.
You are now renamed in my phone for the first time in 20 years from Tommy Dick Things to Tommy Pickles.
Man.
What about
And now every time you ring us, it's going to be Tommy Pickles coming up on my phone.
I'll try and fish out the Rugrats theme tune and play out. Right.
Brilliant.
All right. Cheers for coming, lads.
See you later, Paige.